Welcome to another episode of the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. I'm your host, Brian Briscoe. We've got a really big announcement to make. And before I do, I'm just going to review the past year for me, and that'll kind of put this announcement in perspective. About a year ago, my family and I've got 5 kids, four who were living with me a year ago, 3 that are living with me now. We moved across the country. I was living in the DC area and moved to Idaho Falls to be close to my wife's family. Her 2 sisters live in the same neighborhood we do now. Among other things, I also retired after a 20-year career in the United States Marine Corps, which was all possible because of what I have done in multifamily. But those 2 events by themselves are pretty life-changing events. And, after, 6, 8, 12 months of, working from Idaho and reviewing what was important, I made the decision to leave the company that I helped create. I helped co-found, and the company that, I've done most of my multifamily investments with. And, just wanted to announce that I'm leaving Four Oaks Capital. Probably by the time this podcast airs, the ink will be dry on the paper. But what the reason why, more than anything else, I will say, was just a lot of life changes for me, and the direction I wanted to go changed. It wasn't anything that any of my partners did that was wrong or bad. It's just that I changed, and I wanted to go different directions. And that ended up being the best way for me to be able to do that was leaving Four Oaks. So took a little bit to negotiate with partners and to figure out the best way to exit. So a couple of things that I want to talk about is what is not going to change. Well, number one, the operations of the properties are not going to change. So if you've invested with us, I will still be a GP member on all of those properties, and my responsibilities to the properties and to those investments will not change. The way those properties are being operated, will not change. So that's going to continue to be maintained and go forward. The biggest difference is, I'm not going to be part of any future Four Oaks deals. Something else that won't change is I'm going to continue to manage the multifamily educational community called the Tribe of Titans. So that's going to be and continue to be my baby as far as getting that going. And after a full year, later this week, we hit our 1-year anniversary of launching that platform. We have just shy of 200 members and a very high engagement rate. It's amazing how many people are actively engaged inside the Tribe of Titans. We have a lot of educational content. We have a lot of networking events. We have a lot of live events. And it's a very good program and platform for people to learn how to invest into multifamily on the active side of the investments, not so much for the passive side of investments, but for the active side of investments. And in the show notes, if you're interested in checking that out, we'll drop a link that's going to give you a 30-day free preview if you want to be a member of the Tribe of Titans. And I think it's well worth it. I'm also going to continue to host this podcast. So nothing's going to change as far as this podcast goes. We're going to continue to do our best to bring on really good experienced investors and really good aspiring investors as well. So that's not going to change. We recently launched a YouTube channel as well. So check that out, and nothing there is changing either. So continue to try to put out as much good content as possible through the podcast and the Tribe of Titans. So now that said, what's going to be different? Well, over the last couple of years, what I will say is I've learned a lot about multifamily investments. Number one, from being part of it, from talking with brokers early on, from getting properties under contract, from doing due diligence and asset management and everything else. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm currently GP on 9 properties. We've come full cycle on our first property a couple of months ago. And first of all, I just got to give a shout out to my Four Oaks partners who have done a lot of it. I was for much of the time I was in DC, I was in the Pentagon working. That got extremely busy at times, and they were able to pick up a lot of slack that I left on the table because of my day job. But one lesson that continues to stand out is that execution of the business plan is the most overlooked and crucial aspect in this business. I think everybody who's been involved in multifamily investments for the last couple of years have been very fortunate to have significant tailwinds. I mean, it would have been really easy to buy anything in 2018 and 2019, turn around and sell it in 21 and make a lot of money, right? And that had nothing to do with how well somebody operates. But I think going into the future, the most important thing is going to be operations and how well people can operate. So what's going to change for me is I'm starting a new company. It's called Streamline Capital Group. It's going to be, the website's going to be streamlinecapitalgroup.com for people to check it out. But what I'm doing right now is I am working with individuals and groups that have a significant track record and a proven ability to excel at every facet of multifamily investing or apartment investing. And I'm going to leverage these relationships to bring only the best investment opportunities to people in my network. And something that I feel very strongly about is to be able to bring both accredited and non-accredited investors alike into these investments. It's something, like I said, a lot of people, once they get to a certain point, will do accredited investors only. I will always try to keep a route for non-accredited investors to invest with me. May not be possible on every deal, but it'll be possible on most of the deals that I'm in. I'm also starting a fund. It's going to be called the Streamline Capital Fund. And it's going to be the vehicle to be able to invest into these properties. So whether you're an accredited investor or non-accredited investor, if you're interested in investing with me, let's talk. I'll have a link in the show notes again to for you to get in contact with me to talk about investing. Now, that's about it for today. It's a lot, it's a lot to handle, and it's been something that's been weighing heavily on my mind. I made the decision in February. It probably took me a month to actually tell my partners, because I still wasn't sure on how things were going. And then from there on out, it was a lot of trying to figure out what the next step is or was. And anyway, I'm to the point right now where I'm very, very comfortable with the decision. And, once again, huge thanks to my partners at Four Oaks Capital. Eric Shirley was the one that I met first. Brian Mallon, Todd Butler, Kranti Ponham. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate it. Hey, if you like that episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you haven't joined our multifamily educational community, the Tribe of Titans, yet, you are missing out. So get yourself 30 days free by clicking the link below in the description, or go to thetribeoftitans.info, and we'll see you there.